we had one that was hunting, and he didn't show up. He was supposed to be home for supper someplace and in Calgary. He didn't show up, so his wife drove out, and she's all in tears and said he's lost, and we'd have to go looking for him. And so I said, well, what time did was he supposed to be home? Oh, he was supposed to be home for supper, and he didn't show up, and she's crying, and I said, well, you know, we can't do much now, it's dark, and we can't find him in the dark, but I said, maybe what you should do is phone the hotel in Cochrane. And sure enough, that's where he was, in Cochrane, the hotel drinking beer. Well, then the next one, a friend of mine was out, and they were hunting, and they were up in the fallen timber area hunting, and it was in the winter, and the weather was pretty bad, and it was snowing, and it started to snow. It snowed down, and this friend of mine had a friend with him that was hunting, and they split up when they were hunting. Well, the friend of ours that had the vehicle came back to his vehicle when the snow got pretty bad, and he waited for him until dark, and the guy didn't show up. So this friend came back to the ranger station and said, I don't know what, he didn't show up. I honked the horn, and I've been sitting there, and the snow is about a foot deep now, and he said, I'm not staying there all day or all night. So anyway, I said, oh well, forget it. We're not going out looking for him, because there's no way we're going to find him when the snow was snowing so hard, and we had a foot of snow already. And so he said, we'll go in the morning. So we, I think we played crib for half the night, and then in the morning the sun was shining, it was nice, but there was about a foot of snow, so we jumped in the Jeep and went looking for him. And we were going up the Fallen Timber Road, and we were about 2 miles up the Fallen Timber Road, and a car come out. And when we met the car, it stopped, and this guy jumps out. So he had found, he got lost, and he found an old cabin and stayed in the cabin overnight, and there was no heat. There was a stove in it, but there was no heat. It was kind of funny, because he lit a fire, and the people that had the cabin, it was just a cabin that people that had cattle in there in the summer stayed in. But when they left the cabin, in the fall, they put a can over the stovepipe. So he's got this fire going inside, and the smoke couldn't get out, and it started going down and down and down. And he told us when we saw him that he ended up sleeping on the floor, laying on the floor, because he was in the bed to start with, but he had to go down, and he smelled like it. Anyway, when we went looking for him up the Fallen Timber Trail, he come out in this other car, and he wasn't worried at all. He said, no, he had, I asked him if he had anything to drink, and he said no. He said, I went out and no water. He said, the only thing was I got thirsty, so he said, I got out, there was a can in there, and he said, I just took the can out and filled it up with snow and brought it in and put it on the stove, and then when it melted, I put more in until I had enough to drink. So,
I fed a lot of people when we were there. One day I come home and there's two women sitting in my kitchen having tea. I'd never seen them before. But I think they were car had run in the ditch or something, and he said, well, just go in the house and make yourself at home. So we did. So, you never knew what was going to happen around there. It was good for laughs anyway. And I don't know if lady that come in looking for her husband, and every time she tried to tell us, she started crying. She couldn't understand the words she said because every time she tried to talk, she'd cry. It's hard to not laugh because we never lost anybody yet. And the stupid inmates, they like to make problems too. I had 2 guys come to my door one day and they were just really shook up. They said, and one stuttered that was trying to tell me there's something kooky going on up there in the bush. There's a couple of guys run up and down the hill, yelling and hollering, and they were scared. And I started to laugh because I knew who it was. I'd heard about these guys trying to scare the tourists. Well, when I laughed, that really made them mad. So I tried to control my laughter, but there was a lot of funny stuff.
There were so many things that, you know, people wouldn't believe could happen. Like one day, we got a guy came in. Remember the guy came in? The army were camped across the river, and it'd been raining, you know. And they had a truck, and I don't know how many there was. I can't remember that, but they were on some kind of a training thing, and they went across the river and camped there. Well, it was raining, and the river went up and up and up until finally they couldn't get back, and they tried to get across with their truck, and it stalled right in the middle of the river. But one guy did get out, and he got down to the ranger station, and he was soaking wet and cold and army. But he was worried about the other guys who were still on the other side of the river. I ended up...
Well, the Boy Scouts were too, but we had no problem with them.
I ended up taking our truck, and I crossed the river and got them out. Got their truck, pulled their truck out, and got the rest of the guys out. And things like that happened every year. You know, we were chasing after people, looking for people. What else happened?
I said there was only twice all those years we were there that I lost my temper with public. And one was this guy that come in, and he was pretty arrogant. He says, "I need some gas." I says, "Well, we don't sell gas." "Well, I gotta have gas." And he really got belligerent about it. I said, "Look, sir, this is a ranger station, not a service station." He backed down again. I think I gave him a bit of purple gas to get him out of there.
Well, you telling about the native that shot himself.
Oh yeah, that wasn't a native, that was a white man. Well, there was a native that shot himself. I wasn't home that night though. Shot himself, and they brought him to the ghost. Everybody that hurt they brought to the ghost. And he died on the floor in the office, apparently. But I was selling Christmas trees, and a hunter came in, and he says, "I just shot myself." And I thought he was kidding until I could see the beads of sweat on his face, and he had cocked his gun. He saw something and then it left, so he just set his rifle down by a tree, and I caught the trigger, and he shot himself right through the arm. And I was there by myself, so I was fascinated. I'd never seen a bullet hole in somebody before. And he was pretty cool about it. So, but I had trouble getting somebody to take him into Calgary when they heard he shot himself. Nobody wanted to take him. I couldn't believe people. But finally I got somebody to take him into the hospital. Well, there was always something that went on.
Yeah, we sometimes wondered what our job was.
Patching up
Most of it was
accident
looking
people.
after people, I think.
Yeah. And sometimes things were hilarious, like the couple that were getting groceries for one of the camps, and they ran in the ditch, and they got hold of Ray somehow. So it sent somebody else to stop, and he went up there, and here's this blanket spread out on the ground, and Ray was, you know, we thought, oh, somebody must have died under there. He was pretty sure they were dead. And he lifted the blanket a bit, and this lady says, "Oh, hi, Ray." That shocked him. And then they sent the dog down. Well, the guy had lost his wallet, but they had a dog. And they said, "This dog will find it." So told the dog to get, so the dog was running down there, and he come back with a great big sausage in his mouth. lost their whole load of groceries over the bank when they rolled the truck. Spent a lot of days riding with the Butters Ranch and the Barcy Ranch and Edges. Up to Ghost with Edges and gathering cows in the Barcy. And then I would ride home again after. I really enjoyed those days.